Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here. Thank you for joining us live. I am waiting for Tewannah and Linda to hop on. I am so excited to be doing this today with two of the participants of our film, Listen. They represent both the pro-life and pro-choice positions. And the reason why I have them here in this live interview series on listening is because they are examples of just beautiful listening. Linda and Tewannah were very staunch in their positions when they came into the film. And I had no idea how it would turn out with them, if they were going to be able to come together and connect at a human level. And when it happened, and when I saw the empathy and the compassion that ensued, it was just beautiful till this day. It's one of the highlights of my career. It's definitely the highlight of the film. They are my stars. And right now, in this point in history, in this point in time, in this country, where so much empathy and compassion is needed, I am so honored to have them here, because we're on a mission to combat hatred, to combat polarization. So let me bring them on. And then here's Tewannah. Hello.
Hi, Juliana. How are you?
And here's Linda.
Hi, Linda. How are
Hi,
you?
Tewannah. Hi, Juliana.
Let me
Good to see everybody.
Good to see you guys. Let's try to move some things around here and see if this looks better. Is this better?
Yes, looks good.
We can do this format, or we can do a different format, but I think this works so we can all see each other well. How are you, ladies? Thank you for joining me.
It's great to be here.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Yeah, same to you.
So we've got people hopping on. I'm really excited. We already have a few followers, as you can see there, who are checking out what we're doing and what we're up to. So why don't we, before we do anything, just take some time to introduce yourselves so that people understand who you are. I've given a little intro as to the impact that you had in the film and how much you inspire me. But just go ahead and establish, who you are in maybe, a minute or so, and then also the positions you represent. And then I really want to go ahead and jump into the mission that we're in and how that's relevant right now more than ever. Yeah? Why don't you start off?
Hi, everybody. I'm Tewannah, and I'm the Executive Director of Broward County Right to Life, and I've been in that position for 25 years. So I have a real passion, and as you've seen in the video or the movie, the reason why I feel the way I do. And so my heart is to help women that have been hurt by abortion, and I do a lot of that ministry, and I just want to share my love with others and encourage them that whatever they've gone through, they can find healing and restoration. And I really believe redemption in everything, because I've seen how God's redeemed my life and how he's used it for good and how he's helped me help others. And that's really just my heart and my passion, is to help women find deliverance and freedom and healing, and for them to walk in victory so that no longer the past is, weighing them down, and they're free to be who God called them to be.
Wonderful. How about you, Linda?
Yes, so currently I'm a student in graduate school for the Robert Stemple School of Social Work. I've dedicated my life to helping other people become resilient and to use their strengths and their inner light to be able to make changes in their lives that they could never have imagined. And I think that obviously comes from a difficult, upbringing and experience of life that I had that was just recurring with regard to either violence or sexual violence. Primarily, that was just the current thing that just was in my life as a child, and it was over and over again. So, stemming from that, as you know, if you watch the documentary, you'll notice that I unfortunately did get pregnant, and I took the choice, or made the choice, to have an abortion. And so that's because I lived that experience, I understand that for many women, there, that's the choices are different, right? Choices in life circumstances are different for everyone. And so once I recovered from my trauma, having finally decided that I needed to face, all of that, and go to therapy, and therapy, and reaching out for spirituality, reaching for God, connecting with God. That is a huge part of my life, and I think that part, connecting to the light, helped me a lot in being able to come out of the life circumstances that I was under. And so, as a survival leader, I organize events, to help prevent violence against women, violence against marginalized communities, anything and everything to kind of make this world a better place for everybody. And so I've been quite successful with that, and I've been recognized at my university and beyond, as someone who is, making efforts and making social change, within the communities that I flourish in.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, ladies, for that. Some people are coming on. Agnes is saying hello. Kevin is saying hello. We're happy to have
everybody.
you here. This is what's so exciting about doing this live, that we can actually interact with you guys, with those of you watching on the other side on Facebook. So please bring in your questions, comments, thoughts. We're in this together. Amazing. Ladies, please briefly, I'm going to be playing a clip of the film in a little bit. But before we do that, I would like you to share with people how it was for you to come into an experience where you, one, didn't know anything about the other person. The only thing you knew is that they represented the counterpoint, right? And you had to trust that I was, one, going to be fair. Two, you had to embark on this journey of not knowing how things were going to turn out, and if you were going to be able to connect, or if you were going to be able, or if you were actually going to stand up and leave, right? So how was it coming into this? And I want to walk you like step by step through that process, okay? So tell me at the very beginning what thoughts ran through your head and how you were able to overcome those to say, yes, I'm doing this.
All right.
Linda, go ahead.
Thank you. I kind of looked at you and I was like, okay, she's going to let me go first. Thanks. And so it was very scary. I really had to leave myself vulnerable for anything to be said or done during the filming. That, I could have been depicted from a whole other light. You know what I mean? I could have been depicted only grabbing and choosing certain things. That it happens, when people are put on film and on camera, or when they're interviewed, or, in my personal experience, like doing events on a recovery from, let's say recovery of drugs and alcohol, which I am in long-term recovery. The people will do articles and they'll only say, hey, this is a person struggling with recovery. They don't talk about, but she has done it. And she has used this as, as a stepping stone to better her life and to better other people. So for me, and that actually did happen, I was scared. I was scared that my life was going to be used against me, and what I, and being vulnerable, which just leads me to today, where I realize, and thank God, thank the light, thank our creator, whatever your higher power is, if you have one at all. I want to thank the light force for revealing to me the importance of being vulnerable and allowing people to see you authentically. It is the only way that we are going to connect. It's by putting ourselves out and saying, this is me, this is who I am, and going from there and saying, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm just someone who's trying to bring light into the world.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Just adding something there. That is the major obstacle to listening, right? That we are not willing to put ourselves out there. We are not willing to be vulnerable. And it is precisely because of that that we shield ourselves. And it is also precisely because of that that we've reached this state of hatred and polarization. So we're doing what we can here, ladies. Tewannah.
Yes, I think you know, Juliana, that it took several days, many attempts to try to get me in. I initially said no, and I said no again. I actually, you had to try to lasso me, and I'd say I wasn't available, and you'd say I'll make it available, and I'd say no, and you'd say I'll be there after your class. And so I'm a person of faith, and I don't believe anything happens by random or coincidence. You are in my life for a reason, and I had to trust God on that. And I think that there were a couple of things. Obviously, I'm 100% pro-life, and I was concerned about how that would be depicted, how I would, how it would show up on screen and how it would be edited. And you kept saying you can trust me, and you kept saying I'm balanced and fair, and I'll present it both ways. And I just did. I finally said, I trust God, and I trust Juliana. I trust this process, and I truly believe that good is going to come out of it. And I'm so amazed at how it's unfolded, because I think one of the things was that I had a close family member who I was having conflict with, and they wouldn't let me talk. They wouldn't let me ask questions. They were shouting me down, and I was trying to get through, and they didn't give me a chance. And I thought, you know what, this is where we are. I mean, with our own family members, that we can't say, agree to disagree. We still respect each other. We're created in the image of God. If we don't agree, how are we ever going to come together to try to understand each other? Why can't we have compassion? And I think that's really where, I know we're going further in this, but that's how it unfolded with Linda. I mean, initially I was like, I'm not crazy about talking to people on the other side. And I'm sure Linda can say the same thing, because there's a lot of anger. And who wants to get in an argument? I don't like confrontation. I'm not out there confronting the other side. I'm not. I work with people generally that are on my side. But how are we ever going to bridge the gap and cross over if we don't do something like this? And I think this is what's so pivotal about what we did. We're actually saying, you know what? We have family members, we have people in our lives, we have our country who's totally divided, and everybody's got a story. Why don't we take time to listen to what they have to say and try to get in touch with who they are instead of judging who they are?
Yeah. So, ladies, I know we're going to keep talking about the film, but I have this pressing need today to talk about what's happening with the African American community in this country, because it is so ugly. And I mean, it doesn't matter what side you're on. This is not about politics. This is about kind of respecting each other and empathizing and connecting and understanding and just being compassionate for what is happening. So I'd like us to talk a little bit about that, because we are, the three of us, because I started the film, I got you two on board, and you are with me in this. As we go out with this Listen Courageously program, you are just so important. The film wouldn't be what it is without you, without the change of heart that you experience. The three of us are on a mission to combat hatred and polarization, and not only when it comes to someone with opposing viewpoints, but also when it comes to finger pointing, labeling, othering, right? And that's what's happening. And it's happening on the basis of color of skin, and it's not acceptable. It's not okay. So can you briefly tell me how you're dealing with it mainly, and what can we all do, right? What little steps can we all take to make sure that we say enough? Maybe Linda or Tewannah?
I have to say that when I first heard about it, I didn't want to even listen to the audio or see the video. I couldn't. I was listening to a radio station yesterday, and they started to play his dying, and I couldn't finish listening to it because it's too painful. And I think what's sad is that this is the polarization, right? We have two sides, and all of a sudden now it's about race and all those other things. And I see that and I get that. But I think what we have to focus on is these people that did this, these officers. It's reprehensible. It's despicable. And I posted on my Facebook that they had already had complaints. They should have had their badges and guns taken away before this, I believe. But I think what's sad is that this family is suffering, and this family has lost their loved ones. And we as people who care, need to speak out against any kind of injustice, any kind of cruelty, and not black or white or yellow, because there's cruelty going on all over our country. Both sides. People are being hurt on both sides. We don't want to talk about labeling and stereotyping. We just want to call out the wrong and make those people that have done that wrong held accountable to the highest extent of the law, and make sure that they are an example of, you don't do this to people. And the next person that attempts to do this, I don't care what color your skin is, you're going to pay a price, because no human being has the right to do anything to hurt another human being. And I love the scripture in Romans 13:10. It says, love does no harm to a neighbor. Love, your neighbor. How is this at all? I mean, this is what we're all about in this, what we're doing in fighting the hate. The opposite of hate is love. And if we show love, and surely defending and standing up, but calling names and vandalizing and looting and all those things to try to get your point across doesn't help. It hurts other innocent people, and they haven't done anything. So I think, we need to be very prayerful and careful, but we have to speak out for injustices. And this, to me, is a major injustice, what happened to this man.
Linda.
Yes, definitely. I agree with that. Here's the one thing that's bothering me about what's happening, obviously, further than the loss of a beautiful human life. Pinning this man down on his neck with the knee, it was almost symbolic of what the Black Lives Matter movement is trying to do when NFL players, take a knee, which is representative of our freedom, which is why soldiers, right, go to war, so we can maintain our freedom here in the United States. And him being pinned down on the neck by the knee was just like, on top of the fact that you looked at his life so meaningless, without so much disregard for a beautiful soul, for a life. But what is bothering me besides that is that people are saying, what's going on now? Honey, this has been going on since the beginning of this freaking nation.
Yes.
Okay? Black lives have been minimized, and not only minimized, further, they've been, enslaved. We keep them from opportunities. We jail them, but this is nothing new. And I'm just thinking, listen, I understand that this particular case is touching our hearts, but your heart should have been touched a long time ago.
Yes.
And as people with privilege, we should have said something about what is going on with Black lives in this country a long time ago. And if you don't say anything, if you see it and you don't say anything, you're part of the problem. This world may not end only because of the evil things that people do, but because people stand by and do nothing about it. When I started thinking about why, I was reflecting, and I've been reflecting for quite a while, on what's going on in the world, and the division, and the hatred, and power, the unnatural extent of power and ruthlessness of it happening here. And it's not just here, and it's not new. Right now, it's just a time of awareness.
Yeah.
And it's just been multiplied, everything.
Mm.
But when I think about all of those things, I was contemplating one day in bed, and I was like, God, why is this happening? Why are human rights taken away, from us? Left and right. You see it every day, not only in our country, but in other countries. And you said, I heard this little voice inside of me say, you saw these people being enslaved and you didn't do anything. You didn't do when they came and started putting people to work in factories for cents. And you did nothing about it. So don't go complaining when your human rights are being taken away in your home and in your beautiful environment. Because when you saw it happen to people that were in other countries or that were not within your home, you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And now you want to complain because your human rights are being taken away at home.
Mm-hmm.
That was the thought that came into my mind. And I said, oh my, I've got to change.
Mm.
I believe we have to change as human beings. We have to reach inside and think about, how can I be a better person? How can I bring more light into this world so that we can ascend as a humankind into a better place, of a place that is shining love and light and not greed and division and oppressive power.
Yeah.
So this particular case, though, watching him gasp for air like that is just awful.
Beyond.
It's bone chilling. If it doesn't bring a feeling of tears, or you're unnatural, because anybody saw that poor man, just it felt like like an innocent child's life was being taken away from someone who was standing there. It was awful. It was awful. It was awful. God bless. May he rest in power. And just like when my brother passed away and I had to deal with that, the only thing that I said to myself was, hopefully good things will come about this. And the passing of my brother has fueled my passion to become better, so that he can see from wherever he is right now that I was influenced by him in a positive way. Mm-hmm. And this is the way that we can cherish and honor the lives that have been lost out there, due to police brutality or any other unjust form of passing away. We should pass quietly and peacefully at the appropriate time, not like this.
Yeah. Well, amazing, powerful stuff there from the two of you. And it starts in our homes, right? If we are not able, and even before that, there was a meme or a photo going around with it starts here, it starts in the heart. If it doesn't change in the heart, and if you don't change things in your home, you can't really change anything out in the world. And so this is about opening hearts. And Tewannah, you said something about how, love dissolves anything. Dissolves hatred. Love dissolves fear. Right? Where there's love, there cannot be hatred. There cannot be fear. So this is about going back to that, to connecting with our heart, to understanding that it's a muscle, that it expands, that we can feel empathy, compassion. We can genuinely put ourselves in the shoes of someone else and understand that their experience is not ours, but that it is equally valuable, right?
You're speaking scripture. There's so many scriptures that talk about how we're supposed to put ourselves in other people's shoes. It says that. It says that we're not supposed to judge because we have a judge, but we're called to love. we're called to exhibit that grace. We're called, I mean, obviously we hold people accountable, like in this case with the police officers. But if I go out, you know how you can go out and someone's mad or sarcastic and it can ruin somebody's day. Just those little things people can do. And I know that when I go out and smile or say a kind word to someone, there'll be people that'll say, you know, that really touched my heart, because kindness breeds more kindness.
Yeah.
Hate breeds more hate. That's why what I'm sad about is when you see all these revolts and all these riots and everything, it just breeds more anger and more hate. It does not solve. Surely they're trying to get their frustration out, but doing it that way only causes more anger. And I think that we have to come back to the drawing board and to the table and say, let's talk, let's discuss this, let's find ways to work together. Okay, so we don't agree on these points. There's points we can agree on. So let's try to come together in those places that we can understand and see each other. And when we can't agree, let's listen to each other. And I think that's what's so pivotal about this documentary, is it taught me to listen. Because initially when we first met, it was not easy, because you ask us what we think about our positions, and we each are sharing, and we're passionate about those. So it's easy to let that kind of interfere with the listening process. And I'm thankful that you pulled the reins back, so that we could take our time to kind of process getting to know each other and allowing ourselves to become more human in that process, more, empathetic in that process. And it changed me. I mean, it did. It really changed me. I mean, I felt like I was a good listener before, but I feel like this has definitely transformed me and helped me to say, everyone can always be a better listener. And the best thing to do is to, instead of thinking about what you're going to say the next point when someone's talking to you, which is what a lot of people do, someone will be talking and you're ready to say something, you're ready to start the argument or the debate. Instead of listening to that person and saying, what could I ask about where they are? How could I get to know them? Why do they think this way? Why don't I ask them, do they have something in their life, in their past? Did something happen to them? I think one of the reasons that I am empathetic to Linda, and I think in humanity, I think we should be empathetic, right? We should care about people and what they've gone through in their past. But I've gone through sexual abuse in my young life, and I dealt with a lot of rejection, and I had very unhealthy relationships, and I suffered immensely. I mean, that's why I feel that I'm able to say that God healed me, and I'm able to share that truth with others now and in ministry and things like that. But when I got connected with Linda, that was where, it was a process, and it was only over a couple of days. But after we had that meeting, after the where we painted together, to me, I got home and I cried and I cried. And my husband's going, what's happening? And I'm going, I feel for her. I feel for her because I'm empathetic. I've gone through so much pain. And instead of looking at her as a label, well, she's pro-choice. So if she's pro-choice, I can't talk to her. That's wrong. That's judgment. And that's why we have the problems we have in this country. People aren't willing to get past the stereotype and get past the label and say, you know what, have a right to your position. Have a right to what you feel, have a right to what you believe, but don't act like you're better than someone else. Lovingly share. If you can't, then don't share. If you don't have any, if anything, be kind, right? If you're going to be anything, be kind. If you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. It's best not to have a conversation if you're not going to do it in love. Love breeds love. Hate breeds hate. And with all the hate going on, go out and share some love, spread some love, do some nice things for people, be kind to people, go visit your neighbor, try to show love to somebody. Make it a point every day to do a loving act of kindness and pay that forward. Let's do these, hashtag show kindness, hashtag show love. And let's really start doing that in our daily lives. Like you said, Juliana, it starts with us. So let's go out today and make a determination that we're going to be that light in other people's lives, because they're hurting. You see it in their faces. They can't smile. There's anger. They've been wounded and they're not healed. And we're not going to judge them. We're going to go out and show some love to them.
Yeah. I would add Hashtag let's listen, which is what we need.
Amen. Sorry about that. That should be my
No,
first
no,
hashtag.
no. Nothing to be sorry about. But I mean, I love this quote from Elise Boulding that is like the end quote of the film, which is listening is the beginning of peace. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we're doing here, right? We are promoting a movement where we can all come together to hear each other out. I think for far too long, ladies, let me know. There is a feedback. I think it may be coming from Linda's computer. There's like a feedback where we're able to hear ourselves. Is it? Do you have headphones?
I think it is, Linda.
Okay, because when Tewannah was speaking, I just want to make sure that we are that it's not bothering people who are watching. But if
it
not,
sounds better now.
It's hopefully.
I muted it, so I'm hoping it's when I mute it, it gets better.
Okay, awesome, thank you. So what I was saying is, we're starting a movement that brings listening to the forefront, because for far too long we have been taught to speak our minds, and we have been taught, there's all these speech and debate clubs, and the priority has been given to people who speak, but not enough emphasis has been given to listening, when listening is, so needed for everything. I mean, it starts with us, right? If we are not listening to ourselves, we are not being true to ourselves. So from that, it goes to listening to our children, listening to our spouses, listening to our relatives, listening to our friends, listening to our communities, listening to the needs of the world. It just goes out, right? So listen. And in listening, we have to put ourselves forward. We have to be vulnerable. And sometimes we're not willing to do that, right? So walk us, Linda, through the vulnerability that you felt, and how at the other side of vulnerability, at the other side of fear, there's deep connection, there's love, there's empathy, there's compassion.
Yes, what vulnerability means to me, that not going to reject, that the energy is flowing in and out freely, to accept whatever it is that may come as I leave myself open like a book for someone. And I don't, between Tewannah and I, once we were able to do that, then I think we felt the essence of what is within all of us, and that's love. I truly believe that we are love, that the energy that is within us is an energy created through love. And if it's something that I just manifest because I believe that, because I've thought of that, and my energy from thinking is manifesting as that, then so it be. So my point is, it doesn't have to come, my energy of love doesn't have to come from a higher being. It could just be because I made it so, because I believed in it. For those people who may not, people that may not choose to have religion or a higher power. Some people believe that their power is within, and I think it's a mix of all of those things, to be honest with you. So I'm spiritual. I believe that there's energy of love all around us, and that we can reject it, or we can leave ourselves open for it to work within us. And when you open yourself up, or at least when I did that and saw Tewannah and connected with Tewannah from a place of, she's not different from me, in the sense that we are being influenced by the experience that was so painful for us. And for me to be like, your pain is not important, is, I'd be a hypocrite. I know that I will be given and measure what I put out. So if I don't give her that value, how can I expect anybody to give it to me? I could never get back what I don't put out there.
Yeah.
And when that happened, when I saw her as me, when I connected with her as me, is when it was just like, wow, I understand you. I understand it. And I understand that we are different in the way that we express how we feel we want to touch the world. We are unique. We're always going to be different. But the most valuable part of this, and then she's been driving it home as well, is the fact that we have to learn to see each other with value and dignity. And the coolest thing is that my profession, the book of the Code of Ethics and Conduct, says it. And so my life is just like all of these areas in my life, whether it be my profession or my friends or my connections or my experiences, are all coming to this place of everybody has worth and dignity.
Yeah.
And in order for us to connect and become better people or help people, we have to give that first. So anyway, as you can see, that place of vulnerability for me with something that scared me has brought so much light, and now is being transmitted onto other people who are watching. The time is now. This is a time for us to, with the COVID era, I think that the universe is pushing us
Yeah.
toward opening our eyes and knowing that if my neighbor is not okay, despite of what my neighbor thinks, stresses, or does, if my neighbor is not okay, I can be affected by it. That's like drilling a hole in a boat where we're all in it. Doesn't matter who drills the hole, we're all going down. So we have to take care for each other, at least in the way that we are able to say, hey, how are you doing today? You know what I mean? Are you okay? Do you need anything? I hope you don't get sick, because then that means I can get sick. You know what I mean? If you want to look at selfishness from a place of sharing, I think that is very important. Like, yeah, I can think about, I won't want my neighbor to get sick because that means I'll get sick, but you're still sharing. And so it's that combination of things, because we're still humans, we're still going to want ambition, and we're still going to want all these other things that could go towards a more negative way. But the trick, and this is what I've been learning, because I've been like diving into spirituality like crazy ever since COVID. And I've learned that in order to, like, if we have these impulses as human beings, for example, ambition, I can have ambition. Just make sure that my ambition is not going to supersede the wellness of other people around me. You know what I mean? Don't hurt other people with my ambition. But it's okay to have ambition. And it's kind of like an ego characteristic. So I just wanted to say that we've got to, I am trying to make some corrections, trying to tweak a couple of things within my own personal life. And I'll be real quick with this because I know I talked a lot, but the last thing I wanted to say that you can either call in or call out when you see injustice. Call out is putting it out there. Call in is, let me talk to this person, this institution, and say, this is why I think that this is not the better thing to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes doing the call in is better than the call out. Or if you are going to, like for me, if I am going to be doing the call out, I want to make sure that I'm using words that are not coming from my reactive behavior, but it's coming from a place where I'm listening to my soul, and I want to make this world a better place. So this is how I'm going to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's so much there, Linda, that you gave us. Just the points on what you just said, there are a lot of kind of petitions and sign here forms going around also for people who want to take a stand and do something about it, because there is nothing as powerful as social pressure. So when we put our names in a petition and let others know that this is where we stand and that we're not okay with it, we are, actively taking a stand. Something you said about pain, Tewannah and Linda, both of you. So when Listen started, it wasn't Listen, right? It was a film that was going to bring people together and help them connect at a human level, if that was possible, right? And I hoped it would be possible, but I had no guarantees. So I brought you two together, and I brought two other sets of participants together across, 3 issues. And my fear was, what if it doesn't happen, right? What if they walk away? What if they're too closed off? What if? Thankfully, it happened, as you can see here beautifully. You two are the best example of how your hearts can open up and how you can warm up to the experience of someone else and keep your positions, right? Because this wasn't about changing anyone's opinion. And I want to say that because right now it seems like you were always like this. It seems like you didn't undergo a transformation, because this is just such a big part of who you are right now. Like, I feel that you are two beautiful souls. Yes, you did have to work actively, across several days to get to where you are now, and to have this openness and to have this deep, deep connection and deep love and respect also. So then the film was titled Listen. and then we're on this mission. But can you share with us, apart from the pain that you both experienced and how you were able to kind of reach in there and say, I get her, right? I understand her. Like, what was the moment? And I know it clearly because of the film, but I want it to come across to the audience. What was that moment of, we're here for each other? What triggered it?
And I think that I don't think I could have done this 10 years ago. I think everybody's on a journey. It's a process. And I think that a lot of people have been hurt, and they're still hurt, and they're still hurting. And there's a lot of unresolved issues. I do a lot of counseling, and I find that people are stuck. They're stuck in a place, and they're still angry at family or parents. I mean, they can't get over that. They can't forgive. They can't let go. And I feel like I at least was at a place when you came to me to where I was saying, you know what? I love people. I care. I don't know how to talk to somebody on the other side, but my job in ministry is to listen to people. My job in ministry is to counsel. My job in ministry is to encourage. So how could I say I'm a listener? And how can I say I love if I'm not willing to sit down with somebody just because they're on the other side? So selfish, so wrong, and judgmental. And I just couldn't do that. And I know that the vulnerability was, what's she going to say, and how will she say it? And will she condemn me? Will she judge me? Will she, that was all the vulnerabilities on my end. I was nervous about that. And I know I shared that with you. But I feel like the one point where I really started seeing a change, where, like you said, it's a process, was that night after the painting when I got home. And I just felt like there was just, I just kept, I didn't go to bed for hours because I listened to her story. I kept playing it over in my head and sitting there, and I just couldn't escape what she had told me. Somebody who's unfeeling, who only cares about themselves, they focus on themselves, and they're not able to get into somebody else's world. I wanted to enter her world, and thank God, God allowed me to do that. And in entering her world, I was able to hear her pain and her story. And that made her real to me. She was no longer just a label. She's a person, a human being that's gone through difficulties and pain and deserves the right to be heard. I should be a listener, a good listener. So I feel that the second day when we were together, I know it was unfolding, but I think that one of the things was when we got together and exchanged those letters. And I just felt like there was just points on that final day where it was like, I could relate to her in every way that I've suffered, in every way that different stories, but still, I've experienced a lot of pain and heartache in my life, and she has too. And coming together and saying, I care about you as a human being, and I care about what you've gone through, instead of leaving you and thinking that I have a right to not like you or be judgmental of you because of what you've gone through. I think this made the movie made me understand that it's not about positions, it's not about power, it's not about labels, it's not about stereotypes. It's about a person's heart. and they've gone through things. And some people are healed from those things and some people aren't. But I feel that it was at that point on that second day as we were wrapping up that I just felt like this kind of decompression chamber. It was like this release of just, aha, I get you, I feel you, I experience you. And it was like we had finally come full circle to where we were able to embrace each other. And I called her my friend because I consider her a friend. Whatever ends up happening, I consider her a friend. And I feel that I wouldn't have done before this show, before this documentary. This documentary opened my heart to being able to say, I can listen to people on the other side and care about people deeply and have compassion, because we're supposed to be a more loving individual as we go through things. And hopefully people who see this documentary are going to be changed for the better, because they're going to be experiencing something in their own heart and they go, you know what, I've been judgmental and I've been critical and I've labeled people, and how wrong is that? And I don't think we should judge. I think we should go out and spread the love.
Mm-hmm. I like how you said the decompression, it was like a decompression chamber.
I felt that. I felt it was almost like, you know how you go through all of this stuff and then all of a sudden there's like a release to where you're like, you can kind of relax, because it's stressful what we went through. Yeah. I mean, you remember our first day, we were stressed. I mean, I was stressed, she was stressed. We can relate. We're on opposite sides and we are leaders in the positions that we're in. So we lead others, and now we're going to come to someone who's the exact opposite. So you saw how we were at the beginning, but then you saw how we were at the end, and it's a major transformation and it's genuine. I mean, we're here, we've done many of these together. And when I know that I'm going to be on with Linda, I'm not going, oh no, oh gosh.
Thank God.
Please, have mercy kind of thing. I always look forward to seeing her. I always look forward to hearing what she has to say. I value her words and I appreciate her. And I'm thankful that I've gone through it so that I can be more loving and compassionate to people on the other side.
So I mentioned the decompression chamber because I know that's something that Linda experienced as well. And where were you before that happened, Linda? And how did it feel to finally let go?
It crept up on me. It got me at a moment where I was like, I'm not listening to this. It started with me. It started at the point where she began to talk about the loss of her second pregnancy, her second child, and the pain, because I can imagine that experience. I can't imagine that experience, and I I can't deny that. You know what I mean? Regardless of my other views, and at that point. Right before that, I was pretty upset. I was very upset. I was looking at some photographs of a previous abortion, and I didn't want to see that. And it was just I was furious, actually. And and somehow I think that it had to do with the fact that I had been contemplating for a few years the fact that I wanted to see people with love and admiration, and I think that the previous conditioning of my being open helped. I don't necessarily know if these moments come from one day to another. I think it requires preparation. It's not something that we're going to do, one day to the next. You're just totally going to change. I think that we have to add a little bit to our consciousness on a daily level. Mm-hmm. And so that the foundation is there to be able to accept it when it does come. And basically, the day that we spoke about our experiences, particularly with the loss of a child and me having an abortion, which I think are two completely different things, but still. That day was the beginning of my understanding. It wasn't the day that I was like, hey, Tewannah, you're a great person. You know, it wasn't that the day that I was already, it wasn't like I was like, oh, Tewannah's past 100%. You know what I mean? It wasn't that. It was like she said, the continuous thinking about it and reflecting upon it. And then by the time we did the letter, the words being sealed into writing was incredibly powerful. And it's a technique that people use, right? To write stuff down.
Yeah.
And the power that writing things down has in order, it's like almost like a ritual to go ahead and manifest that energy.
Yeah.
And so when I wrote it down and I had to think about what I had to say, I was real about the things that I had to say. It wasn't like I was making them up. You know what I mean? So when I let myself feel what I felt from my heart, despite of the, you know, where we come from as far as opposing views, that was another like example of me letting go and being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And the more I could be vulnerable with her, the more I could say, I respect you. I get it. You know, I get where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like I said, it doesn't mean that I have to react and respond the same way in what I do, but to be able to respect it, our differences, you know, and be able to respect our differences. So by the time I wrote the letter and I did that, it was a great moment. It was a feeling where you could feel the cloud dissipate. You know, the dark cloud that was sitting on our shoulders. Yeah. That it was like this turned out to be a good thing. At the end of it all, it turned, and we knew it, and we knew that we all had that feeling of this turned out to be a good thing. You know what I mean? You didn't see any losers or winners. You just saw that everybody was enlightened with it.
Right. What I saw on the outside, and what I see every time when I see the film, is, you know, two powerful women, beautiful hearts, who were putting their egos in front of them, who were having their minds take over, and who weren't letting their heart connect till that moment where you both let your guard down. And you both said, I'm here for you, and I'm going to hear you for who you are. And I'm connecting deeply with what you've experienced. And I want people watching this to know that that's it, right? That is what gets in the way of listening. That is what gets in the way of compassion, empathy, understanding, love. We get in the way. Our egos get in the way. Our brains, our minds, our reasonings get in the way. How we've been brought up, the circles that we frequent. So once we begin to silence all that and begin to connect again and to see people human to human, eye to eye, you know, heart to heart, we can transcend that. So you two taught me that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sincerely, from a very deep place. You have no idea.
I feel the same way. I feel that I ask you sometimes, when will it be distributed, and even worldwide? And I'm a little nervous about that because of the fact that I'm 100% pro-life, and people can perceive things differently, right? Based on where they're coming from and what they see and what they hear. But I know God put me here because it was important to listen, and it was important to focus on caring about someone's heart and letting that be the focus, and not judging, because when I say that, I don't want to talk to you, or I don't like you, or whatever, I'm judging you. And so to care about someone is to say, you have a right to your opinion. I respect your opinion. I care. I don't agree, right? I agree to disagree, but I still respect your dignity and your humanity. But I want to say something because Linda mentioned it a couple of times. And when I showed I never show aborted babies. I threw them out when I got into when I first started in the ministry because I couldn't see them too much. It's too much to handle. It's too painful. You just, bringing that to people is going to cause them grief and pain and just heartache. So I don't do that. I do show the pictures of the unborn baby, the development, and I showed a picture of David Nathan in the incubator because I had the preterm delivery, and it was due to an injury from the abortion. So that came out through my medical stuff that happened, which I'm able to share and I talk about. But anyway, I just wanted to say that, it isn't, I would never show aborted baby pictures. I mean, I just want to clarify because they're, to me, the worst thing you can do to a woman who's gone through that. That does not show love. That is not loving. Yeah. That is very unkind and cruel because women, many of them, many don't, but some do struggle after their abortion. Some do feel guilty. Some do feel shame. I've counseled them. And who wants to put them in a place where they feel more shame or more guilt or more regret? They need to know there's hope. They need to know there's healing. They need to know there's forgiveness in Christ. And that's where I come from.
Great. Thanks for clarifying. Ladies, what do you say we play a short, it's a 2.5 minutes, but maybe, I won't be able to really fast forward, but we'll play the 2.5 minute clip with the trailer for those who haven't seen it. It's like the short version, and it has some of the other encounters as well. For those of you who don't know, the issues were guns, abortion, and immigration, and both in the abortion or the pro-life, pro-choice, as well as in the gun reform issue, people were able, these wonderful women and the two other sets of participants were able to come together and connect and understand. In the immigration case, we didn't have the listening, so it didn't quite happen, and we still left it in there to show that that's where we work off from, right? That's where we start. That's a starting point. And as a society, hopefully we are moving towards more understanding, and hopefully what we've done together serves as an example that it is indeed possible, and that we should all be taking steps towards opening ourselves, asking questions, being more curious and less furious. I like that a lot, more curious and less furious. So let me bring in the video. I'll take my video off for a second. I'll bring in the video and I'll bring you guys back in.
I own a few firearms. I own an online portal where people can buy and sell and trade firearms.
I don't care about guns because I don't feel like I need to own one. But yeah, I was still nearly shot and nearly killed by a gun.
We're born to be mothers, and it is not natural to have an abortion and to go against that maternal instinct that we have.
Women are dying by the droves because they don't have access to legal abortions.
Are you pro-American or pro-world American? Are you
Pro-immigrant?
I'm sorry, I need to stop you. You are not true American. And I'm sorry, I gotta stop this. I cannot continue with this. I'm sorry.
On February 14th, 2018, at my school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, we experienced a mass shooting.
I was born with muscular dystrophy. It's a neurological disorder. You know, affects your balance, your fine motor skills, leg strength, stuff like that.
I was listening to this radio broadcast that was describing an abortion procedure. It was like these lights came on, and I said, this was a baby. I've lost a child.
For me, I had nothing to offer. I couldn't live. So how was I supposed to offer anything to a child that was my rapist?
I'm giving this to you. Okay. I wrote, Dear Todd, this experience has really been an eye-opener.
I am thankful that we did this together, that I met you.
What surprised me the most about you was your understanding.
Even though we may disagree, I consider you a friend.
Oh, stop.
Feeling the decompression again.
I feel it every time. Every time I watch the trailer, every time we participate in the Listen Courageously sessions, just having you two, bringing you two on.
It's
I
a
love you,
blessing.
ladies. I love you. Thank you. So I want to open it up, see if the people still watching, who are still with us after an hour, have any questions, any comments. I know here's one, very powerful stories. Thank you both for sharing and making a difference in others' lives. Then we've got Mark Wong over here saying, let's agree to listen to each other before we agree to disagree.
Mm.
So powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kevin, I know, had said earlier, which I popped up on the screen, but here it is. He said, evil prevails when good people fail to act. So here you are, you know, good people acting against evil. Thank you for that.
Mm.
And then Kevin again says, bravo, such a great experience to listen. It is a great experience to listen. It opens us up. That's why we're on this mission, right? We're on this because it does something to us.
Mm.
Every time
Mm.
we show the film, every time we approach, you know, a group that is needing to heal, because this is what it is. It's healing.
Yes.
I mean, we healed ourselves, and in the process, we're healing others. So it starts with every single one of you people watching. It does. And it's a triple effect. I know Tewannah can say how, you know, after finishing the experience, she went back to loved ones and they were like, who are you?
What are you doing? Why are you doing it? You know, because they couldn't transcend their judgments, and they're in their eyes, their position is what's priority. And to me, I learned that that's not what it is. It's really looking at humanity in a way that we respect every human being as a child created in God's image and worthy of being heard. You don't have to agree, but to judge. I mean, I think that's the sad thing that's going on so many fronts throughout our country and the world, is that everybody comes from this position of many people of just being judgmental and critical and negative. And it's as if, you know, I'm right and you're wrong. And so they walk around judging others because they think they're right. And it's sad because I think you said it well, Juliana. The word is ego. And many people have this huge ego and they can't let it go. And they have to, that's what they focus on, their beliefs, and they can't get into other people's lives.
Yeah.
What's sad is when you can break through, when you can break free of that and allow yourself to be vulnerable and enter into other people's lives, there can be real healing, real deliverance, real freedom, and real love. I mean, love comes. I mean, this, you know, I feel love for Linda. I feel love and compassion. I don't feel any judgment. You know, I don't feel any anger or resentment. I just feel this sense of love. and care. And I feel that that's what's come through for me through this move through the film, is that it's enabled me to go, it's about the person's heart. And that's what I need to focus on. When I go out, wherever I'm going, whoever I go to, that's the ultimate goal for me, is to create in the inner circle I'm in, a kind of circle of love. And let my circle of influence feel that love. Let my circle of influence feel that compassion and feel that care. And that's what I want. Surely we have to speak the truth. I mean, we still have to stand up for what we believe, and some people aren't going to agree. But even in doing that, we can do it in love. We can do it with care. We can do it with kindness. We can present it in a way that doesn't sound like we're lording over people and talking down to them. We can do it in a way that we're eye to eye, heart to heart.
Exactly.
Trying to meet them where they are, trying to make them who we think they should be, or say what we think they should say, but accepting them for who they are, where they are, and trying to plant a seed of hope in them, trying to give them some watering like a plant of hope and encouragement, and let that experience that you have with people, that last moment that you have, be when you walk away, you put a smile on somebody's face. You have somebody, when you walk away, feel like, wow, that was wonderful. Good experience, not negative, not condescending, but one that brought hope to somebody's life.
Can I just add that in the process, we are not judging, please, those who are not there yet. And I want to be really clear on that, because I think Linda said it, we're all at different stages in our heart opening, in our spiritual path, in our growth, in our evolution. And we are not judging anyone who is not there yet, but we are showing you that if you want to be there, it is possible to take steps so that you can be there, right? That's all. I just want to say that to make sure we're not like,
Well, and I think that the documentary does that well, because you get two people from the opposite sides that have that position, and then here we are now. So it's showing them that it's possible to love, it's possible to forgive, it's possible to bridge gaps. It's possible. Like you said, it's a process. So there's people that are still wounded and hurting, and they won't be able to do what we're doing, and they're still angry, and that's where they are. But even in those cases, we can still plant a seed of encouragement in their lives.
Yeah. Agnes says, it is great to be reminded that we must listen to learn and grow. Yes, it is. Thank you, Agnes. And Mark over here is talking about road rage. The comment is a little bit long, but let's see. Ideological rage is being unnecessarily upset over the challenge of sharing ideas and working with others. Yeah. Spare the upset, people. Spare it.
Amen. Amen.
One last
I like that ideological rage.
Yeah, ideological rage. And he compares it to road rage. Yeah. Linda, one final thought, Tewannah, one final thought before we say goodbye.
Yeah, I do want to mention that, I believe right now it's a great opportunity with the energy that is around us to look within ourselves and to really find out, ask yourself, how can you be a better person in the way that, how can we help humanity connect? You know what I mean? And to be open and willing to see things that you never thought were possible, and to be open to possibly changing in a way where you never thought was possible. At the end of the day, I don't think we all know what is best for us. Sometimes it's being open to the idea that we can be better people, and then having life and love and the energy that is around us guide us to that awareness.
I love that. Beautiful.
Well, I believe in God, and I believe in the power of prayer. And I really do believe that when we pray for God to enlighten our hearts, to help us be more loving and more compassionate and more forgiving, that he opens our heart to that. And as we pray more for that, that you'll see him moving in our hearts in ways like that. I think that we can look at the circles that we're in, those circle of influences, and pray about who's in your circle that you're angry at, or resentment is there, or you're judgmental, different sides, different opinions, different political opinions. I mean, there's political polarization, and we don't have to agree. We can be on different sides, but we have to come to a place where can we bridge the gap with that person? What can we say to that individual to take that step in their direction instead of trying to wait for them to come to us? It's like, if you forgive, if someone says they've done something wrong and I'm going to wait for them to say they're sorry. Well, they might not say they're sorry. To me, my responsibility is to always be loving. God's the judge, and he's responsible for how people treat each other. I'm called to be loving and kind to everybody. And I think that those that are watching this film, especially, that it will transform their hearts. I pray that it will open them. I pray that they'll go out and be more willing to love someone in their communities, love someone in their family, love someone that they haven't been loving. I think we're too angry and there's too much resentment, and we have to stop. We have to be willing to come together as a community. We have to be willing, be the leader, be the person that steps up and says, hey, everybody, let's talk. Hey, everybody, let's pray together. Instead of having revolts and riots, let's pray together and come together and sit at the table and talk and communicate. And after seeing films like this, how can I be a light in someone's life? I mean, that's, I guess, would be my closing thought. How can I, when I go out, be a light that shines bright and be a light in someone else's life? Bring them hope and encouragement.
That's beautiful. So on that note, there is a lot of rage and anger in the world right now. There is a lot of unknowns. There are a lot of unknowns, right? We were all thrown with this coronavirus pandemic that flipped our lives upside down, and no one knows when this is really going to be over. What this has shown us is the power of our interconnectedness. It's shown us that in times like this, when there is so much disruption and chaos, there can be a way, a door to compassion, to understanding. It's an interesting moment in history. I think we're all here for a reason right now. So let's all take everything that is happening and, like Linda beautifully said it, do something. Let's do something, Let's not stand still. Let's change. Let's actively look into our hearts. Let's actively listen to ourselves. What is it that we are here for individually? Everyone is here for something. Everyone brings something. Everyone has a medicine for the world, right? Mine is filmmaking. You two are in both separate worlds in your respective fields. That's your medicine, right? You're both helping women, like you said it so beautifully in the film, and that's what unites us as well. Ladies, this has been amazing. I can be here for hours.
I know, me too. Thank you, Tewannah. It's a blessing. I consider it an honor, privilege, and I was so, apprehensive going in, and now I look at it and I say, wow, Lord, I see what you're doing. I see the power of the film and the transformation that can occur from it. And it's so powerful. It really needs to get there, especially right now.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting us to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juliana. Thank you, everybody. Yes, it's a blessing. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who is here and listening and saying beautiful feedback. Like we said, it wasn't easy, but it's worth having gone through, all the feelings that we went through that weren't always easy to deal with. It took like Tewannah said, it took a long time before we finally did it. So we just want to say thank you for being open and understanding why we did this. You know, why we got together, and despite all odds, we're able to bring in light. So that's
Amen.
beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, very beautiful.
Ladies,
Yes.
everyone,
Thank you.
sincerely,
Thanks, everyone.
have a
Good to
great
be here.
weekend.
You too. Always great to see you
See
too.
next Friday.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, happy Friday.
And
Have a
tune
wonderful
in
weekend.
next Friday for another episode of I'm Listening. We'll be doing this every
I'll
Friday.
be listening.
That's right. We're listening, and we want other people to listen.
Amen.
The world
Amen.
is listening. Let's end with the end statement of the film. Listening is the beginning of peace.
Listening is the beginning of peace. That's beautiful.
Love
That's
you.
your
ladies.
mantra.
I think I'm gonna print it. Hugs, everyone. Thank you.
All right. Blessings, you guys. Thanks again. Thanks, everybody. Take care.